have to play with the other headset. This headset's just going to be better for the game we're playing since this one has surround sound. But we're gonna watch this flat earther trying to convert Philip and Holly on this morning, and then we're gonna watch this video since I didn't stream yesterday because I needed to take care of some me stuff. Anyway.
Now then, most of us have spent our entire lives thinking that the Earth looks like this. But you can forget about that.
Indeed.
Because
it's not right. It's actually got some divots and pits, and it's more fat along the equator than the rest of it. It's why it's globular, not a perfect globe. But a globe is easier to get people to wrap their mind around the concept of than a globular orb. So we teach people the more simple to understand shape.
The Earth, in fact, well done, nicely caught, looks like this. This is what it is. It's flat, and it has just like Game of Thrones, it has a big ice wall surrounding it.
Mark Sargent is one.
But that's... where's my book? That's not how Game of Thrones works. Let's see if I can find one of my books real quick, just to see. Box still? Yep. All right. So I'm gonna pull this out just to prove this dumb wrong. So it says just like Game of Thrones, right? So here's Game of Thrones, Clash of the Kings. All right, so that's the book this one is. It's not the first book, so it's, further along. It's only the second book, but it is what it is. Here's the map for the Game of Thrones universe. Okay? There's the map. Now, just to prove that we're not just looking at something that's inaccurate and that I don't know, like I have the actual book, but because I know that's going to be difficult to see, we'll do it this way too. Game of Thrones world map. Images. Let's click this one because it is a little more clear. Not really, I guess. Damn it. Back. Let's not use the shop. How about that? That makes it easier, huh? My dumbass. Some days. So, this is the world in Game of Thrones. You see how there's not ice all the way around it because it's not the full world, how you can tell this landmass is going to continue? This is just a small section of the world. And not only that, but look at this. This ice, it's not over here in the ocean. Here's the wall right here. Okay, right there's the wall. But there's not ice all the way across even just the top portion of the map. It's just this wall. Now, I know that that's not like a real world thing, but this dude over here trying to be like, I'm going to make references to Game of Thrones because I know how Game of Thrones works too. This just shows that he's not only wrong about Earth, but he's wrong about the world of Game of Thrones as well, okay? He doesn't know what he's talking about at all, is my point.
One of the leading voices in the Flat Earth movement, and he believes it's time that we all woke up and realised that we actually are living on a flat disk.
Well, Mark joins us now.
Welcome.
Good morning, Mark.
Welcome.
I mean,
Oh,
obviously, there are thousands of questions,
Yes.
which I'm sure you've been asked 1,000 times.
A few, yes.
Yeah. So, we believed for many years that the Earth was flat, and then science comes along, and
Where's my thing? Here we go. Okay.
discovery comes along,
Right.
and we think, right, okay, now we can
Fixed
see
it.
that it's actually round.
Sure.
We've seen that it's round.
Sure.
So how come it's not?
It's not because we can't prove it's a globe. Everything that we've... In fact,
Right.
it starts out with everybody that's in the flat Earth community starts out looking at the globe saying, can you prove it? Can you prove the globe, especially without using NASA? Because it's not that we found out that the world was a globe back in 1972. We knew for 5 centuries. So that's how everyone starts. You try to prove it in a court of law.
I flew in Concorde, and I was lucky enough to fly in Concorde.
We're going to rewind a little bit.
Community starts out
because I just distracted the shit out of myself.
Can you prove the globe, especially without using NASA? Because that's in the flat Earth community starts out looking at the globe saying, can you prove it? Can you prove the globe, especially without using NASA?
Sorry, OBS is just freaking out right now. It won't... It didn't want to open it up, and now it doesn't want to shut this window, and it keeps just popping up new ones. It's like OBS just glitched out on me, and I'm not entirely sure if it's even streaming right now. So we're gonna wait a minute here, because I see me in the camera, but everything else on OBS for me right now is absolutely fuckface frozen. So I just don't trust that I'm actually even streaming. Let me see here real quick. See if I can pull up my own channel. And maybe... Come on. Come on. Okay, cool. So I am... It is still streaming me, I guess. I just don't have... Let's get off of here, though, because it just runs too much shit. So, I'm streaming. It's just not indicating things correctly. Oh, there we go. There we go. Holy fuck. So I don't know if it was working or not. We're just going to rewind it a little bit here again, because I don't know what happened. Streamlabs on my end completely froze up. Just completely froze up altogether. I have no idea if it froze up on the stream or not, so we're just going to go back.
Sure. We've seen that it's round.
Sure.
So how come it's not?
It's not because we can't prove it's a globe. Everything that we've... In fact, it starts out with everybody that's in the flat Earth community starts out looking at the globe saying, can you prove it? Can you prove the globe, especially without using NASA? Because it's not that we found out that the world was a globe back in 1972. We knew for 5 centuries. So that's how everyone starts. You try to prove it in a court of law.
I flew in Concorde, and I was...
Okay, so we've known for a very long time that the world's round. Galileo, Galileo. But no. People who are doing math and observing the sky and doing science, their opinions, that doesn't matter. How dare we care about facts, figures, or science when it's inconvenient? The audacity of us non-flat people. I wonder if they think they live in a 2D world.
I was lucky enough to fly in Concorde, and you get up to 65,000 feet, and I could see the curvature of the Earth. That was proof to me. How come that wasn't true?
And yet I could show you weather balloon footage from 120,000 feet, and it's absolutely tabletop flat. And Neil deGrasse Tyson, the world's most famous scientist, no offense to Brian Cox, he'll come out and tell you, no civilian will ever be able to see the curvature of the Earth. Because
so is he lying?
No, I'm not saying that you're lying. I'm saying that you wanted to see the curvature.
The statement of no civilian will ever be able to see the curvature of the Earth also predates where we're at today, significantly. Jeff Bezos went up into space. Right? Like, he rode one of his own ships, did he not? Like, Elon Musk didn't do it, but he put a car up there. Like, the very first Tesla after he'd gone through the acquisitions, right? So, he, like... Civilians can go to space now. Congratulations. It's just not going to be cheap. And SpaceX and like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos aren't the first two people to do it either. I always forget this guy's name. Private space companies. SpaceX, right? So SpaceX, obviously, that's the Elon Musk adventure. Orbital. What is Orbital? See, in 2014, Orbital merged with Alliant Tech Systems. small mid-sized space vehicles. Okay. Sector of Northrop Grumman from 2018 and 19 formed Orbital ATK. Like, that just doesn't sound like good, but that's my video game acronyms, kicked right on in. So you've got these, right? So you've got SpaceX, however, right? Obviously doing stuff. You've got Blue Origin. Blue Origin's been around for a long time, right? Like, the thing is, I'm just pointing out there's plenty of private space companies. These are all the private commercial companies, right? And we'll even just not use Wikipedia, right? So it's Blue Origin, SpaceX again. NASA hits up 7 space companies to take on orbital squad goals. Well, why would NASA have to hit up 7 space companies? What are these 7 companies? What are they? Well, they're private businesses. Like, you are capable of getting there. The thing is, like, do you have the capital to do it is the question, right? Because being on one of these is going to be insanely expensive.
There's a big difference.
But don't you want to believe that it's flat? You have
No.
proof. I have more proof than you do.
I would challenge that.
Well, I've got footage here that's direct from the space station, and that's live pictures from the space station now.
Right.
That's all a lie.
Again, started from the American military. Yes, absolutely. I'm saying it's worse than that.
So what is that then? What am I looking at if I'm not looking at live?
NASA is largely staffed by the military, but it is not in any way part of the Department of Defense or therefore the military.
Pictures.
You're looking at CGI, nothing more. Something that started out very simple back in the night.
I'll clarify this. So the military and NASA, like Air Force has always helped staff, and like Army Air Force have staffed NASA forever because that was the aeronautics specialization that we had capable of helping set it up. So just laid a foundation for their involvement. The Air Force, until we had the Space Force, was in charge of the United States space program through NASA because NASA was how things were getting to space. Because of the testing strictness and regiments of the military for like combat pilots, for instance, that was where they would select for astronauts. And the thing is, you can be in the military and have a job that's not from the military that qualifies as your military job. So if you're in the military, but you're extremely good at, say, basketball, right? But you've got an active duty position and you just join a basketball team on base or in town, wherever you're stationed, and you just perform really well and you excel at it, but you don't ever cancel your enlistment, or maybe you're an officer and you're contracted in, right? So maybe that's what it is. And the NBA scouts you out, or the WNBA scouts you out. And they say they're interested in giving you a spot on the team. Or maybe it's martial arts and it's the UFC or Bellator or PFL, right? Here's the thing. You just go through and do the paperwork, and they say, you know what, this is great, we'll do that, but you've got to run through things that you're doing to promote yourself with us because it's going to reflect on the military, and you're going to retain your position in the military, but you're now going to have a duty of being the representative of the military in regards to public relations in that kind of a perspective. And that's what you're doing. It's not like you can do these things, it's part of it. So becoming an astronaut from the military, right? If the military people become astronauts, you know what happens? More people will join the military in pursuit of becoming an astronaut than they will in trying to figure out how to go through all this training and gaining the knowledge and experience required to make you the top of the heap, the very tip of the iceberg for selection for becoming an astronaut, when becoming an astronaut was 1 in a 100 million chance, right? So now, what are you going to do? You join the military to be that astronaut because it's an easier path to reaching it. It makes that pathway actually more feasible for you to achieve. So that's why it gets tied to the military, but it's never actually been part of the military.
1950s and advanced till today.
So I'm a bit of a space nut.
Sure.
And so.
Oops. But on top of that, it's a lot of just like defense stuff. Like we have to work with NASA because NASA's sending out our satellites, things like that at the time. You have to work with them in order to make sure that things are secure and that things are safe because it's a national security thing. And whose job is it to maintain national security? Department of Defense, the military.
We're looking at CGI, nothing more. Something that started out very simple back in the 1950s and advanced till today.
So I'm a bit of a space nut.
Sure.
And so no. I mean I'm very happy with that.
Right.
And I've got the app on my phone which has got where the space station is right now. And I have in the past looked at those live pictures.
Yes.
And I have seen where the space station is and thought, right, it's coming over me now. And so I have watch the space station. You can see it as that light. It doesn't blink, doesn't flash, goes over as a solid light. And at the same time, I've looked at my laptop and I've seen where I am.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not saying there's something up there. No question. Is there a vehicle that could be the ISS up there? Yeah. Are there people inside it? No. Not a chance. And you can look at the interior footage and the production value is horrible. I challenge anybody. We've got
I've interviewed.
The production value is horrible. Well, why do you think that would be? Would it be because, gee, Jim, I don't know. There are fucking scientists in space with cameras and not cameramen on a set in Hollywood? Gee, kind of like you just made an argument against a flat Earth. You've got amateurs with cameras and not professionals. You've got amateurs making the videos and putting it out in front of the world because it's informational, not a TV show or a movie.
Both of us, we've interviewed Tim Peake from this sofa.
I know. And
so what was I doing? Who was I talking to? Where was he?
You were talking to a military officer, nothing more. I talked to Terry Virts, American astronaut. And look, they're all, you got to remember, everybody that goes up there are high-ranking military. They start out at colonel and go...
Why would he bother?
Once again, that's because it's the easiest path to gaining the experience, the training, the knowledge, and the physical capability because you're being trained at that level in order to qualify. It's just hard to have somebody else who's going to meet those requirements without having that association. Like you have to understand, like you've got to go through the G-force training, you've got to go through piloting, you've got to go through not just piloting, but you need the highest level of credentials of piloting, which means you have to be flying things like combat jets. Like, are you flying an F-22, an F-16, an F-18? Are you flying one of those if you're not in the military? Not likely. Not likely. That's why they get that position.
Why would you bother faking it?
Yeah, why? What's the point of faking it?
Well, that's one of the bigger questions, which is why keep this thing a secret? And we're talking about...
No, but why fake it?
Because if you don't fake it, eventually the private industry is going to get involved, and then they're going to find out on their own.
And why that would be bad? Because
if you don't keep this thing a secret, remember we're talking about something.
Look, and all the military stuff aside, because it doesn't even matter. The thing is, why the hell would you keep this a secret? And then, like I showed earlier, there's a whole list of just private companies. That's the private sector. This dude knows nothing. He is literally Jon Snowing himself out there and hoping for the best.
Thing that was discovered back in 1960. The public wasn't ready in 1960. They just weren't. Their potential academically, economically, religiously, chaos, potentially. And so they weren't going to take that chance.
So pilots are involved in this?
No, not at all. No. Pilots, scientists, none of those people. I have astrophysicist Brian Cox. None of them have anything to do with it.
Okay, so all of those people,
right?
Every NASA science, everyone who's scientist, everyone who's ever been involved in at any stage in any space program, whether it's industry that launches satellites, the various people that launch those satellites,
right.
Everyone that's ever worked on the space shuttle or the Apollo program,
right.
they're all.
No, it's
pointless.
No. I mean, jobs are created, and it's compartmentalization. I mean, it's no different. Look, generals know the battle plans, but most of the officers below them don't.
That makes no sense. Like, you're telling me that the people behind the computer that are making sure that we have the correct trajectory to get into space are just making this up. You're telling me the people that are watching the radars in a building that are watching these things happen are just no big deal, right? So, like, they're all just making it up. And then he ties it all back to the military, because military bad, military secretive. Now, here's the thing, is, do you think that the military or the government, either one, because really they get the same thing, do you think that you're going to get paid enough money to make up this lie and then just keep it going and going and going for like 60, 70 years? What is he talking about? No way. And then you've got everybody who goes to the space station, like everybody. And that's not just Americans. It's the International Space Station. You're telling me every single one of them is full of shit? They're all just in on it because supposedly they're up there. But hey, you know what? That's a lie, right? We have something up there, but you couldn't possibly have people on it, right? And that means that everybody who's saying they're up there, that they've been in the space station, that they've gone to the International Space Station, all of those people are in on a secret, and they're lying in a globally concerted effort strictly to make you not believe the Earth is round. What? This is why flat earthers make my brain want to pop.
Apollo, those massive Apollo...
We've been to the moon, right?
Were those Apollo rockets that went up into the air, did they go?
They didn't go anywhere. They just went off into the ocean and ditched. That was, again, I'm an American. Look, we're taught, rah, rah, go team, wave the flag. And so it's tough for me because I love the American space program.
So you flew in a straight line to get here?
I did fly in a straight line to get here, yes.
And you've got this, so we've got a dome over the top?
Yeah. So let me do this real quick. So the globe that you threw away, what we're talking about is we are all brought up, taught that we live on this tiny little rock that's covered in a little bit of water and smoke. We're flying through this impossible vacuum of space. We're saying that we live...
We're not flying through space. If somebody tells you that we're flying through space, they don't understand space. We are falling. We're falling. If you read any kind of astronomy text or any kind of astrophysics text, anything that teaches you about space from people who are actually knowledgeable on space, they all say that we are falling through space.
Live on a flat, enclosed world that is you're basically living in a big soundstage with walls and a floor and a ceiling.
The Truman Show.
The Truman Show. Yeah, very, very, very similar. That is so big that even our best and brightest didn't figure it out until about 1960. And when they did decide to keep it a secret, the really, really short version is you don't live on a globe. This is what it looks like on the outside. That's what it looks like on the inside.
This is my favorite part of the room over here on the left side of the screen, right there above my head. Right there. There it is. I'm just happy it's there and that he can't do shit about it because goddamn.
There you go.
So why don't we just fall off the edge?
For the same reason, the space asteroid question.
There's a dome.
Yeah. So for the same reason why you don't fall off the edge here. Antarctica is the only continent that doesn't look like anything else. All the other continents in here look perfectly fine. Antarctica, though, and it's not necessarily an ice wall, it's just Antarctica, this really, really, really high continent.
So you think Antarctica goes all the way around?
Yep.
So where's the North Pole?
North Pole's in the center. North Pole's in the center.
Oh,
South
please
Pole
show us
exist.
this
Compasses
dumb disc again.
Most people don't talk about that. The Antarctic Treaty says that no corporation in the history of the world can set up shop down there forever.
What's outside?
That's a tough one, isn't it?
Well,
I mean, because it could be
no clue.
Well,
show us the fucking
if you can't
flat
get outside,
Earth
you're not
disc.
Gonna know for sure, but I mean, I don't.
Okay, I guess this is what we're gonna get. Alaska, Siberia, Russia, they're all ice capped as well, the same way as Antarctica is, are they not? Where the hell is that at the North Pole? Where's it at?
think, my personal opinion is this isn't a one-off. There's not just one of these. There's more.
So we've got a picture of what you think what it's.
Oh yeah. That was made by one of our people. And it's a great option.
Jesus.
I love it.
Why?
Been there? They seen that?
No.
Why did they blur all this nonsense? So this is the same theory that we've seen before, where you've got like Antarctica is supposed to be the one disk here, and like all the frozen shit at the North Pole isn't really there and frozen. Apparently that's just all here Antarctica, and then you have like the islands and continents here on the next space, and then you have another ice ring, right? It's like we're all here floating around in the middle of a one piece universe, and nothing makes sense, because why the hell would they hide this? Because in order to harvest these materials, they would need people to go and harvest them. Who does that? Well, we do. And if you're watching this video, you're probably going to criticize, well, we don't do that, you're just some white guy, you don't do that, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't matter, because people still have to go and harvest the fucking materials, and if we don't have people going out there to harvest the fucking materials, how are they profiting off of the lie? Like, what would the point of the lie be if they aren't making a massive profit off of it? Because the space program costs tens of billions of dollars every year. If we're going to spend that much money on space every year as a lie, where's the money they're making out of it? What is it that they're getting from that expensive lie that makes any kind of sense?
Hole in the wall there. There's a hole.
No.
I do hate that they're blurring everything
So
out.
can you go through that and go to the other places?
Again, flat Earth opens the minds of people. Most of the flat earthers will stick with something like this. But, other flat earthers, I'm not going to knock them. It opens minds.
Okay, but amongst your people,
Yes.
amongst your flat earthers,
Sure.
you argue
That's right, your
amongst
people.
yourselves.
Well, what do you mean, your people? I mean, other people that think the Earth is flat, disc-shaped like dum-dums.
As well.
Like the
And
Scottish
actually,
Highlands, we argue.
You have been accused yourself as being sort of a member, I think, of Warner Brothers or something. You're making this up.
Government agent, yeah.
So, I mean, aren't you just all turning on yourselves? Like,
No,
you can't believe anything.
No.
Ever. Not even your own.
At the end of the day, again, like the Scottish Highlands, no offense, but, they can all agree on one thing. They hate the English. That's the same sort of thing here. We disagree on so many of the finer points here. But at the end of the day, we all agree on one thing. That is not a globe. And you can absolutely, you can hammer on the globe. Everybody starts out hating flat Earth, and everybody tears down the globe themselves. That's why we have a 99% retention rate.
Do you not?
You have a 99% retention rate because the only people buying into it are too dumb to understand. See, look, it's like you've got people that are either too dumb to understand, they're very heavily conspiracy-minded, and so they just jump into it and they go, and they latch onto it full throttle. Or they're so mistrusting of the government that they won't believe anything the government has to say, including things like the Earth is round, and then they just, this is the opposing thought process, so this is what they go with. I never really see anybody who's outside of that category, like those descriptors, ever on the side of the flat Earth.
Believe any proof in anything?
No, I believe in proof in things.
Okay.
But
in which case, I've got to ask you.
Sure.
That we obviously, those of us who believe that the Earth is round,
right?
There
the
are
Earth is
lots and lots of things that would help us to convince ourselves that the Earth is indeed round.
Globe, by the way.
The globe. Yeah.
I mean, technically, this is round.
Okay. And flat. And so, what proof do you have?
Got it.
No one.
Technically, this is round and flat. If he really wanted to be accurate about it with his words of this guy, and I mean him, if he was really trying to be accurate and have a point, then what he would have said isn't a globe, he would have said a sphere, because a sphere is a 3D ball, right? Like a basketball or a soccer ball. That's a sphere. Sphere. The word globe comes from the globular shape of the Earth. So if he wanted to actually describe the shape of the Earth, he would say globular. Globe is literally just the round image, like spherical image we make of the globular Earth, because it's just the easier way to teach it and to get people to understand the larger aspect of what we're on in this universe.
The ground.
Globe, by the way.
The globe. Yeah.
I mean, technically, this is
See right there.
Okay. And flat. And so, what proof do you have?
Got it.
No one has ever been there.
Got it.
No one has ever taken any pictures of the ice wall that surrounds us.
Exactly.
So, no one can get anywhere near. Why can't we go there? Why can't I?
Oh, the Antarctic Treaty. And you can go there. If you want to spend, I think it's like 12,000 pounds, you can go to the edge, one of the peninsulas, and get your picture taken with penguins.
No, I want to see the wall. Well, no,
Well, I mean, the wall itself
Attenborough's been
just
to
extends for a long. You can get to the Antarctic coastline. That's not a problem.
Yeah. I want to go to the wall.
Boy, if you're going to go all the way in here. No, the Antarctic Treaty forbids it. You cannot go there.
This isn't true. So, like, the Antarctic Treaty does not prevent you from going to, say, the exact point of the South Pole. They don't want you to go there. They don't want you to. Like, so the North Pole and the South Pole are no-fly zones. I forget what the perimeter around that is, but they are no-fly zones. And the reason being, at least according to the FAA paperwork that I looked through briefly when going through my stuff with the Air Force, was that the magnetic powers there are too strong. The magnetic pulling there is too strong, and it messes with the instrumentation in the airplanes, and it's not that you're going to crash because you can fly without them. It's just that the risk is too high for the reward of you flew over the pole. Okay. Then they've also got, you can fly close enough that you can see it. And the reason they don't want you to go there on foot is because there's literally nothing and nobody anywhere near there to help you out because it's so cold. It is so remote. There's no resources. The water is all frozen. You don't have any kind of like liquid water for you to drink except for what you can keep liquid. There's not trees for you to cut down and burn. There's nothing there really for you to just eat. So whatever you can carry is what you have. So the odds of you getting to the South Pole on foot and then back to the coast where we actually have scientific labs and stations set up is extremely small, and people die trying to do it.
It's locked down. It's the only unbroken treaty in the history of treaties.
So
How do you know
every
that?
country in the
Oh
world.
no, it's not secret information. None of this stuff is secret information.
But where are you getting that information?
What, the Antarctic Treaty? It's public
Yeah.
domain. I mean, it's a PDF.
It is.
In fact, I gave it to your producer.
But the
It's on a
Antarctic
flash drive.
Treaty is about limiting
It is. You can look
the
it up.
stripping of resources.
It's all corporations. Every corporation in the world, no one can set up shop there. And it's also the only piece of real estate in the world that's not owned by anybody. A little strange, since we're fighting over real estate all the time. But no, I mean, stripping of resources.
So this is largely because of when modern society and civilization realized it was there, right? And then we started going there. I believe Germany was the first nation to actually send expeditions there. And this was like 1930s, 40s Germany, right? So we all know what that was. And then we had that whole event take place, right? Through the 1940s, started in the 30s, and then ends in the late 40s, right? We have that whole event. And then that ends, and then we have a treaty written for Antarctica where there's nobody living there, it's all ice, and the scientific advances, capabilities for going there for science are very great. So we want to be able to study there. We want to have scientists go there. But we don't want another one of them big, huge world conflicts, those global conflicts, right? We don't want another one of those. So let's just make a treaty about this land, and we just stick with that. How's that sound to everybody? That sound good? Yeah, it sounds good. Okay, great. He's looking over very much so the context of the historical relevance of when this took place.
This is a treaty that was built in 1959. Environmentalism wasn't even a word back then.
Yeah, 1959. So it's roughly 12 years after the fall of Nazi Germany. And then we still had Japan we were dealing with, right, in the Pacific. Like, this isn't This isn't something that just took forever to happen. Like, you got to understand, discovered South Pole, or not South Pole even. Like, let's look it up. Discovery of Antarctica. Because I don't know exactly when it was. 1820. Yeah, nobody ever cared to go there because it was just frozen over, so they didn't give a shit. We had to be able to get to Antarctica and set shit up. It required the Industrial Revolution, right? British explorers first reached the magnetic South Pole in 1909. Geographic South Pole, 1911, by Norwegian explorers. See, like, nobody really cared to go that far. Because it was like, oh, look, nothing but ice here. Fuck that. Let's go. There's no food. There's no water. There's no resources. This place is a death trap of frozen hell. We didn't give a fuck about being there. Like, now people care because there's evidence of minerals and oil and things there that are very rich there because there's nothing else there. The thing is, no corporations are trying to get at that, are they? You know why? Gotta get through all that fucking ice, too.
Do we communicate with anyone out there? Is there any trade between the two places?
I don't know. Couldn't tell you that. To your proof questions, and I know we don't have a whole lot of time left. Sorry, let me give you the 5 bullet points that I gave a Georgetown physicist, and he folded like a card table almost immediately.
I think you folded like a card
Neil
table.
deGrasse Tyson, Michio Kaku, any of these guys. First one would be long-distance photography. Curvature of the Earth is 8 inches per mile squared. We eventually should not be able to see over the hill. We should be a hill. It should be gone. HD technology has changed that. Now we can see things way, way further. There's some wonderful work being done by Nathan Oakley and some UK teams where they're actually seeing a horizon behind oil platforms at 10, 15, 20 miles. Gravity versus the vacuum of space.
10, 15, 20 miles. He acts like we're seeing really fucking far. Like, 20 miles isn't that far. 8 inches every mile. You know what that means? You know, I'm not even going to fuck with this. We're going to just do this with the calculator so that there's no disputing it. So you have, he said 10 to 20 miles, right? So we'll go the higher number. We'll say 20. And then he also said that's 8 inches every mile. He said square mile, but it doesn't matter if it's a square mile because you're looking in a linear way. 160. 8 inches. So actually, 13 feet. 13 feet. That means that what he's saying is with these HD cameras that can see 20 miles, they're seeing over the horizon, they're seeing these oil rigs 10, 20 miles away. And the curvature of the Earth has only made the Earth... If the Earth was just like level, right? If we perceived the Earth as level that entire 20 miles, so there's no hills, there's no canyons or dips, right? It's all just one elevation. Then the ground where those oil rigs are is 13.3 inches lower than where you're standing because of the curvature of the Earth. 13 inches. It's barely more than a foot. Or no, it's 13 feet. I'm sorry. We did the math here. Divided by 12. I'm dumb. It's 160 inches, 13.3 feet. It's basically 2 tall men. It's a little more than... Well, it's about 2 tall men. 13.3 feet. So 13 feet and 4 inches. That's not... My point is, your house is taller. A 1-story house. Okay? A 1-story house. From the peak of your roof to the dirt is going to be a larger distance than the drop of the horizon after 20 feet of distance on a level road. Would be 13 feet. That is literally less than your house is tall. I don't understand what these people are thinking.
Gravity's holding things down, right? That's gravity. No problem, right? You make the upper part of this a vacuum
Oh,
chamber.
this is
you
my
pull
favorite
a
part,
cork,
probably.
Everything's going to rush upstairs. Well, why, when you go outside, why isn't the air outside rushing into space? You can't. The atmosphere. Why doesn't it go into space? Can't say gravity anymore because gravity didn't hold the air in this room for that little test. Third, the moon eclipse is too small. The moon eclipse is 70 miles.
It's the magnetic fields help hold the atmosphere together, which is what traps in all the gases. The more dense molecules are closer to the Earth. This is why you have things like oxygen is more densely found at sea level, and hydrogen is more densely found in the upper atmosphere because of the weight of the atoms making those gases different. I present to you, dum-dum.
Miles wide, and the moon is 2,000 miles wide. We never see that in nature. The moon eclipse cannot. We say the moon is about 70 miles wide. Fourth would be the moon temperature. That's a spooky one.
We say it's about that wide because, you know, he doesn't understand how math works.
Even know that till about two years in, which is the moon generates a cold light, which is warmer in the moon shade than it is in the moonlight. If you magnify moonlight, it gets even colder. It's generating a cold laser light. Doesn't even make sense. And the last question, which is the Van Allen radiation trap question, which is, are the Van Allen radiation belts deadly? Yes or no? If they are deadly, then how the Americans get past it with no shielding whatsoever? Remember, the only thing that can stop radiation is gold, lead, and a whole bunch of water. They went with aluminum and plastic. Nobody died. Nobody got radiation poisoning. Nobody even got cancer. There's still 5 of them walking around today. If you say yes, then why?
Nobody even got cancer. What killed them all? Go ahead. I'll wait. He ain't going to tell us. But watch this. Cause of astronaut deaths. Dies at 85. Where is it? Spaceflight related. Oh, I could have sworn there used to be like a chart that somebody put together because of this. Let's do it this way. Dies of cancer in 2021 off on Apollo 11, right? So that was Michael Collins. 22% of all deaths are caused by cancer. Actually here. This one here from Live Science says that apparently... Okay, here we go. Among the 53 NASA astronauts who have died, 30% died from cancer, 15% from heart disease, while among the 36 Soviets who died, 50% from heart disease. So it doesn't look like cancer is actually a very large cause of it. I guess I just typically hear about cancer. That's fine. But that's also a large portion of American deaths is either heart-related issues like cardiac arrest, cardiac disease, heart disease, heart failure, all the same thing, or accidents, basically, right? So cancer's just high on the list, I suppose.
Why does NASA have this wonderful video, Ryan trial by
that,
fire?
or I just
saying,
remember
we
seeing
can't
that
send
one
any
more
capsules into
recent.
space because we haven't solved the radiation problem yet.
Well, maybe that's because you've got to go closer when you go to Mars, and it takes longer, and there's more exposure. Perhaps, I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well,
maybe
he says.
Yeah, and what they've steadily told us is that the real risk of getting to Mars and like space travel of killing people isn't just the ambient radiation; it's the radiation from something like a solar flare.
Well, no, I'm not going to
NASA
shoot it
say-
down. It's
No,
that's
no,
a
no.
better answer than I've gotten from a lot of people. Sorry, go ahead.
NASA say we've known the Earth is around for more than 2,000 years. The Earth is not a perfect sphere because the force caused by the Earth's rotation, north and south poles are slightly flat. Earth
Like I said,
rotation,
globular.
wobbly motion, and other forces are making the planet change shape very slowly. But it is still round, and that's NASA. But you say that they're in on the.
In on it.
Yeah.
I say, listen, you know, of all the things that are going on in the world,
Yeah.
of everything that's happening, I think we'd all probably cope if someone said, actually, it looks like this.
I think we
oh,
would too.
okay, all right,
And
fine.
I absolutely agree with you, which is why I think it's being let out. I'm not
Stop,
doing it.
stop spending all the money on CGI and
I agree.
space products and projects, and let's build some more hospitals.
Absolutely.
I think we can all cope with it.
I agree. 1960, I don't think we were ready. 2020, I think we are.
Let's.
Why wouldn't we be ready? Why would we have not been ready? Why would we have not been ready? Just why? Why? Why would it have been so hard to be like, oh, okay, I guess we were wrong about that? In 1950, 1960, 1970. Why would that have been so hard for us to do, but now would be okay? That logic is non-existent. I'll tell you that right now.
go there
Yeah.
and see what's like on the other side. There might be nicer places to be. It could be a good holiday destination.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
We could put it on the
I
screen.
do like the
I think
video.
we're ready
That
to
dude's
know.
just a
Tell us.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Fascinating.
he's just a complete fool.